The spaceship hovered quietly above the glowing blue planet. Its surface was covered with oceans and strange green forests that shimmered under the twin suns. Inside the craft, a young alien girl named Lyra studied the planet carefully. Her eyes were large and violet, reflecting the lights of her instruments. She came from a distant star system where her people had advanced technology, but their world faced a serious problem. Their species was slowly dying because their reproduction cycle had become unstable. Lyra had been chosen to travel across the galaxy to study other intelligent species, hoping to find a solution for her people. Lyra's mission was simple, yet dangerous. She had to observe, learn, and gather data about how life worked on other planets. Most importantly, she had to do it without harming anyone or drawing attention. That's why she had chosen this planet, humans. Reports from long-range scans suggested humans were unique in their resilience, intelligence, and adaptability. Many alien scientists had already speculated that humans might hold the key to solving her people's reproductive crisis. The alien girl stepped out of her ship, her body moving with grace, careful not to make a sound. She was wearing a translucent suit that helped her blend into her surroundings. The forests were alive with noises she had never heard before. Birds with golden feathers, small creatures with luminous eyes, and the wind whispering through massive trees. Lyra's heart raced with excitement. This world was full of life, and life was her only hope. From her observation point, she saw humans moving about their daily lives. They were smaller than her species, weaker in some ways, yet there was something strong in their movements, in their determination. She watched a group of humans lifting heavy crates, laughing and working together. The cooperation and resourcefulness amazed her. She quickly began recording her observations, her instruments buzzing softly. Lyra's mission wasn't just observation. She had been trained to interact when necessary. She approached cautiously, materializing her presence near a human settlement. A young human scientist named Ethan was examining samples near the edge of the forest. Lyra watched him for a long time, noting the way he carefully handled the plants and soil. There was intelligence in his actions, but more than that, there was curiosity. That same curiosity ran through Lyra's own mind. She decided to introduce herself. Lyra activated a small communication device in her suit and spoke in a calm, melodic voice. "Hello, I am Lyra. I come from a distant place. I mean no harm. I wish only to learn." Ethan froze for a moment, staring at her. His mind raced, but his curiosity overcame his fear. You're not from here," he said cautiously. "Are you an alien?" "Yes," Lyra replied softly. "I have come to study life on this planet, particularly your species. My people, we face a problem. We need to understand how life survives and reproduces. I hope to learn from you." Ethan's eyes widened. "You want to study humans? That's unusual, but I think I can help. My name is Ethan." Over the next few hours, Lyra and Ethan talked. He showed her his small laboratory where he worked with plants, animals, and human biology. Lyra explained her people's problem, though carefully. She didn't reveal anything too sensitive. She focused on her scientific questions. Ethan was fascinated. He had read about alien life, of course, but never had he met someone who needed his help. "You want to understand reproduction?" Ethan said slowly, choosing his words. "I can explain how humans reproduce, but it's complex. And it's private." Lyra nodded. "I understand. I do not wish to intrude. I only wish to observe scientifically to collect data. I promise to respect your species' boundaries." Ethan smiled faintly. There was something in Lyra's sincerity that made him trust her. "Okay," he said. "We can do this. But I need to make sure it's safe for both of us. No experiments that could harm anyone." "Of course," Lyra said. Her large violet eyes shimmered. "Safety is my priority. My people respect life above all else." The two of them began with observation. Ethan explained human biology in a simple way, showing models and diagrams. Lyra recorded every detail. She asked questions about hormones, genetics, and development. Ethan explained things carefully, simplifying the complicated processes. Lyra learned quickly. Her instruments scanned the diagrams, her mind storing the information. She marveled at how humans adapted to their environment, how their biology was flexible and robust. As the days passed, Lyra's presence became less strange to the humans around her. Ethan introduced her to a small team of researchers. They were cautious at first, but Lyra's respectful and gentle manner earned their trust. She spent hours observing experiments, learning how humans grew crops, cared for animals, and even how they taught children. Every interaction gave her more insight into human resilience and adaptability. One evening, as the twin suns set and bathed the forest in golden light, Lyra and Ethan walked along a river. "You humans are amazing," Lyra said softly. "You survive, you adapt, you create, even when conditions are difficult. My people could learn much from you." Ethan looked at her, a little surprised. "You really think humans are special?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, your species may be small, but your minds are strong. Your cooperation, creativity, and courage, it is remarkable. I believe humans may hold the key to solving problems that my people cannot fix alone." For Lyra, this journey was just beginning. She had come seeking answers about reproduction, about life itself, but what she was discovering went beyond biology. She was learning about courage, intelligence, and compassion, and she knew that humans, in their simplicity and strength, were unlike any species she had encountered. As night fell, the forest came alive with sounds that seemed to celebrate the meeting of two worlds. Lyra's instruments recorded every chirp, rustle, and whisper. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling she had never known before. It was not just curiosity or duty, it was admiration. Tomorrow she would begin her next phase, more detailed studies guided by Ethan using safe and ethical methods. But tonight she simply watched the humans work and play, laughing and struggling under the twin suns, and she realized that for the first time, an alien girl far from home had found hope, not only for her mission, but for the future of her people. The twin moons rose above the forests, casting silver light on the water. Lyra returned to her ship, her mind buzzing with new ideas. Her mission was no longer just about reproduction. It was about understanding life in its entirety, learning from a species that had survived against incredible odds. She would study humans carefully, ethically, and respectfully, and perhaps in doing so, she would discover the secret to saving her people, and in the process, show the galaxy the strength of humanity. For Lyra, the adventure had only just begun. And for humans, the arrival of a curious, respectful alien observer marked the beginning of a story that would forever change how the galaxy saw them. The next morning, the forest was alive with sound. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, and sunlight filtered through the massive trees in golden beams. Lyra stepped carefully out of her ship, her violet eyes scanning the surroundings. Today would be the first time she observed human teamwork in a real research scenario, not just isolated experiments. She felt a strange excitement building within her. Humans were full of surprises, she had noticed, and she wanted to see them in action. Ethan was waiting near his lab. He waved to Lyra, smiling. "Good morning, Lyra. Ready for today?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I am eager to observe more. I hope to learn even more about your species' strengths." Ethan led her through a small clearing where several humans worked together. They were setting up an experiment involving plant growth under unusual conditions. Some humans carried equipment, others measured soil, and a few monitored water flow. Lyra watched silently, her mind recording every movement. "These humans work well together," she said softly. "They communicate, they share tasks, and they seem to anticipate each other's needs." Ethan nodded proudly. "Yes, cooperation is one of our strongest traits. Alone, humans can do many things, but together, we can accomplish incredible feats." Lyra's large eyes gleamed. She had seen cooperation in alien species before, but it was different here. The humans did not just follow orders. They adapted, invented, and solved problems as they worked. She began taking notes, recording patterns of communication, gestures, and problem-solving. After some time, Ethan approached her. "Lyra, I think it's time for you to participate," he said gently. "Don't worry, it's safe. I want you to try solving a small problem with us." Lyra tilted her head. "Participate? But I am not human. I may not understand your methods fully." "You'll learn quickly," Ethan said with confidence. "We work as a team. You'll see." Reluctantly, Lyra stepped forward. Ethan handed her a small device that monitored plant health. "Use this to check the soil moisture. The plants need water, but not too much. If they get too little or too much, they won't grow well." Lyra studied the device. Her alien sensors allowed her to detect moisture levels with extreme accuracy, far beyond human capability. She adjusted the water flow carefully, observing how the soil responded. The humans around her watched curiously. "Impressive," Ethan said quietly. "You're faster than I expected." Lyra felt a small thrill. She had never felt pride like this before. In her world, she had been trained for efficiency, but here her skills were appreciated in a different way. It was not. The morning air was crisp and fresh as Lyra stepped out of her ship. The forest shimmered under the sunlight, and the distant sounds of human activity reached her ears. Today, her focus would be deeper than observation or simple participation. Ethan had prepared a more complex experiment, one that would test how humans solve problems under unpredictable conditions. Lyra felt a mixture of curiosity and excitement. She had already learned much, but she knew that true understanding required challenge. Ethan greeted her with a warm smile. "Good morning, Lyra. Today we're going to test the adaptability of humans in an unusual situation. Don't worry, it's completely safe, but it will require teamwork and quick thinking." Lyra's violet eyes sparkled. "I am ready. Please explain." Ethan led her to a large clearing where a group of humans had gathered. In the center, a set of plants and soil systems had been arranged in unusual patterns. Some plants were placed on platforms. Others were set near water channels that moved unpredictably. "The goal," Ethan explained, "is to maintain all plants in optimal health while conditions change unexpectedly. Some equipment will simulate drought, some overwatering, and some will introduce nutrient variations. You must adapt quickly." Lyra observed the humans carefully. Their faces were focused but calm. She noted how they communicated with short words, hand gestures, and glances. Unlike some alien species she had known, humans did not panic easily. They analyzed, coordinated, and adjusted. It was impressive. As the experiment began, water channels shifted unexpectedly. Some plants received too much water, while others became dry. Sensors on the platforms indicated changes in nutrient levels. Humans rushed to respond, carrying measuring instruments, adjusting valves, and checking plant health. Lyra joined them, using her precision sensors to monitor each plant's condition. She quickly identified problems and suggested adjustments, explaining her reasoning to Ethan and the team. The humans listened intently. Some followed her guidance immediately. Others questioned her methods, and a few combined her approach with their own. Within minutes, the plants began to stabilize. The humans were amazed at her speed and accuracy. "You're incredible," Ethan said quietly. "You see patterns that take us longer to notice. Your analysis is precise, yet you adapt like we do." Lyra's large eyes reflected a quiet pride. "I am learning from you as well. Your adaptability is remarkable. I have never seen such rapid adjustment in response to changing conditions." As the day continued, the experiment became more challenging. Random events occurred. A sudden shift in sunlight simulation, small mechanical malfunctions, and unexpected plant behavior. Each time the humans adjusted, often improvising solutions that Lyra had not considered. She realized that human ingenuity was as important as their teamwork. Their creativity allowed them to overcome obstacles quickly and effectively. During a short break, Ethan explained further. "Lyra, you've seen humans work together and adapt. But there's another element you need to understand. Learning from failure. Humans often fail, sometimes repeatedly, but each failure teaches something. We store this knowledge, pass it on, and improve over time. It's why we survive and thrive in so many environments." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "In my species, failure is costly. Mistakes can lead to loss of life. Humans, you treat failure as a teacher. That is a lesson worth studying." She watched as the humans shared ideas, laughed at small mistakes, and encouraged each other. Their approach was unlike any alien species she had studied. Humans were not just intelligent, they were resilient, persistent, and optimistic. Lyra began recording not only the data about plants, but also the patterns of human behavior. She realized that to fully understand them, she had to study both biology and culture. Later, Ethan introduced a new challenge, a puzzle that required coordination, observation, and logic. Several human volunteers had to arrange blocks representing nutrients, water, and sunlight in a pattern that maintained optimal plant growth. The puzzle could change randomly, requiring instant adaptation. Lyra watched the humans think, argue, and cooperate. She noted how they shared ideas, suggested alternatives, and corrected mistakes without anger or frustration. When one person failed, another tried a different approach. Slowly, the system began to stabilize. Lyra offered subtle suggestions, pointing out patterns she had detected. One human girl named Maya paused and looked at Lyra. "You see things we miss. How do you do that?" Lyra smiled softly. "I observe carefully and analyze quickly. But you humans are remarkable. Your creativity, teamwork, and persistence are stronger than anything I have known. That is why your species is special." Maya's eyes widened. "Special? Really?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, you survive and thrive because of your intelligence and your spirit. That is rare in the galaxy." The humans blushed slightly but smiled. They felt recognized and valued. Lyra realized that admiration was a powerful connection. Even as an alien observer, she could influence their confidence and cooperation. By the afternoon, the team had completed the experiment successfully. All plants were healthy, and the system stabilized despite the challenges. Ethan looked at Lyra with pride. "You've not only helped us, you've inspired us. We learned from you, but you also learned from us. That is true collaboration." Lyra felt a warm sense of accomplishment. "Yes, I have learned much today. Humans are adaptable, resilient, and creative. These qualities may help my people survive. Your way of thinking, it is unique." As the sun began to set, Lyra returned to her observation post. She reflected on the day's events. Humans were not just survivors, they were teachers. Their ability to combine intelligence, creativity, and cooperation allowed them to overcome obstacles that would defeat many alien species. Suddenly, a small commotion arose in the distance. Lyra's sensors detected a disturbance, a minor forest fire likely caused by lightning. Humans rushed toward the flames, but it was small enough that she could intervene without drawing attention. Lyra moved swiftly, using her alien technology to control the fire and prevent it from spreading. The humans noticed her actions and gasped. Ethan ran to her. "Lyra, that was incredible. You saved the forest and us from a disaster." Lyra shook her head gently. "It is only precaution. Life is precious. You humans respect life, and so do I. Together we can prevent harm and learn more." Ethan smiled. "I think we make a good team. Not just because of our skills, but because we respect and help each other. That is something your people might learn from humans too." Lyra nodded. She realized that the day's lessons extended beyond experiments and plants. Humans taught her patience, observation, creativity, and ethical action. She also saw that humans inspired confidence and courage in others, even in someone from a distant star system. That night, as the twin moons rose and silver light bathed the forest, Lyra returned to her ship. She reviewed the day's data, but her thoughts lingered on humans. They were remarkable, not because of power or technology, but because of intelligence, spirit, and compassion. Her mission had shifted. She had come to study biology and reproduction, hoping to find answers for her people. But now she realized that humans themselves were the key. Their creativity, collaboration, and courage could teach her species what science alone could not. Lyra felt hope for the first time in her life. Hope for her people, hope for understanding, and hope that humans could become allies in ways she had never imagined. The galaxy might be vast and dangerous, but with humans, even a small alien girl like her could find guidance, inspiration, and solutions. As she prepared for sleep, Lyra looked out at the forest one last time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new observations, and perhaps new discoveries. She had already learned that humans were extraordinary, but she knew the best lessons were yet to come. For Lyra, the adventure continued, and the story of humans' remarkable abilities was only beginning to unfold. The morning fog lay thick over the forest, making everything look silver and mysterious. Lyra stepped out of her ship, her violet eyes scanning the trees and the human settlement nearby. She could hear the soft hum of human activity, footsteps on the paths, low conversations, and the occasional laughter of children. Today, Ethan had planned a challenge that would test human ingenuity in ways beyond observation and routine experiments. Lyra's sensors buzzed with anticipation. Ethan greeted her at the clearing. "Good morning, Lyra. Today, I have something different for you. We're going to see how humans handle unexpected problems. Not just experiments, but real lifelike scenarios." Lyra tilted her head. "Unexpected problems? Please explain." Ethan pointed to a set of equipment and plant systems scattered around the clearing. "We've created a simulation. There will be random changes, water levels, sunlight, soil nutrients, and even minor equipment malfunctions. Your task is to observe, assist, and maybe suggest solutions. But you must rely on humans as well, not just your abilities. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. This was more challenging than yesterday. It would require teamwork, quick thinking, and trust. I understand. I will participate carefully and ethically. The humans gathered in the clearing. Some carried tools. Others monitored sensors, and a few prepared to adjust the systems. Lyra could see their determination. Even under pressure, they remained calm and focused. She admired that. Many alien species panic when conditions change suddenly. Humans adapted, the simulation began. The morning sun peeked through the tall trees as Lyra prepared for the day. Today was different. The previous days had focused on observing human intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. Now she would begin applying what she had learned to her own people's crisis. The knowledge she had gathered from humans about creativity, problem-solving, and cooperation was more valuable than any data she could have collected from books or simulations. Ethan met her at the clearing, carrying a small tablet of information. Lyra, today we're going to explore how humans adapt knowledge to solve real problems. You'll see how we take what we learn and apply it creatively. Lyra's violet eyes brightened. That is exactly what I need. My people have knowledge, but we lack flexibility. Humans, you inspire adaptation and innovation. I wish to understand it fully. Ethan led her to a human construction project near the edge of the forest. Several humans were building a water distribution system for crops. Pipes, pumps, and sensors were already in place, but the terrain was uneven and the natural water flow was unpredictable. This project would test not only problem-solving skills but also leadership and improvisation. Lyra observed quietly as humans discussed the challenges. The incline will cause some pipes to overflow, one human said. We need a valve adjustment or a redistribution system. Another added, if we use temporary channels, we can redirect water until the main system stabilizes. Lyra listened, analyzing the logic and teamwork. The humans were not waiting for instructions. They were collaborating, brainstorming, and combining experience with innovation. This was unlike any species she had studied. Ethan turned to her. Lyra, I want you to try something. Suggest improvements, but also observe their decision-making process. See how they turn challenges into solutions. Lyra studied the system carefully. Using her sensors, she identified potential weak points in the pipes and water distribution. She pointed out areas where overflow might occur and suggested additional valves and temporary channels. The humans listened, then adapted her ideas to fit the materials they had. The system functioned more efficiently than expected. Water flowed smoothly, reaching all areas of the field. The humans clapped and smiled, proud of their work. Lyra felt a quiet satisfaction. She had contributed, but more importantly, she had learned the human way of combining observation, creativity, and practical action. As the day progressed, Ethan introduced a new challenge. Lyra, now we'll see how humans handle ethical decisions under pressure. This is just as important as technical skill. He explained a scenario. A section of crops was infected with a fast-spreading plant disease. The team had to decide how to respond. Destroy the infected crops immediately and prevent spread, risking food shortage, or try to isolate and treat them, risking further contamination. Lyra observed the humans carefully. Each member suggested strategies, weighing risks and benefits. Some prioritized immediate containment. Others suggested creative ways to save as much as possible. The discussion was intense but respectful. No one shouted or demanded compliance. Everyone listened, debated, and reached consensus. Finally, the humans implemented a hybrid approach. The most infected crops were removed and treated, while the others were isolated and monitored. The solution balanced safety and preservation. Lyra's sensors recorded every step. The analysis, the communication, the compromise. This is extraordinary, Lyra whispered to Ethan. Humans consider ethics, survival, and creativity simultaneously. This combination allows your species to thrive where others fail. Ethan nodded. Yes, that's why humans survive in dangerous conditions. Intelligence is important, but so is judgment, ethics, and teamwork. You're seeing the full picture now. Lyra felt a new understanding forming. Her people's reproductive crisis was not just biological. It was cultural, ethical, and strategic. Her species lacked the flexibility and moral consideration that humans demonstrated daily. Perhaps learning these lessons was the key to saving her civilization. Later, Lyra suggested an exercise of her own. Using the knowledge she had gained, she presented a simulation based on her people's crisis. She outlined a scenario where population decline had caused instability and resources were limited. The humans examined her simulation with curiosity. How would humans approach this? Ethan asked. Lyra smiled faintly. Observe first, adapt quickly, consider ethics, and innovate solutions collaboratively. That is what I have learned from you. The humans engaged with her simulation, suggesting solutions that combined resource management, strategic planning, and ethical care. Lyra's sensors tracked their suggestions, comparing them with her species' traditional approaches. She realized that humans' methods could be adapted to her world. By late afternoon, Lyra and Ethan had completed the exercise. The humans' strategies impressed her. They were creative, practical, and morally sound. Lyra noted every detail, already thinking about how to apply these lessons to her people. As evening fell, Lyra walked along the river, reflecting on the day. Humans were extraordinary. They adapted, learned, and collaborated in ways her people could scarcely imagine. She had come seeking answers about biology and reproduction, but she was finding something more profound: the philosophy of survival, the art of cooperation, and the strength of ingenuity. Suddenly, a small alert from her ship caught her attention. Sensors detected minor instability in the local weather, a sudden windstorm approaching. The human team had left for the day, unaware of the potential danger to their equipment and crops. Lyra moved swiftly. Using her technology, she reinforced structures, secured equipment, and minimized damage. By the time the storm hit, the fields and machines were safe. The next morning, Ethan and the humans returned to find their work intact. They looked at Lyra in astonishment. You anticipated the storm and acted," Ethan said. "That's incredible," Lyra nodded. "Observation, prediction, and careful intervention. You humans inspired me to consider multiple solutions, not just one. That is why your species is remarkable." Ethan smiled proudly. "And that's why we're learning from you too. You've shown us perspective, precision, and foresight." That night, Lyra prepared a report for her people. But it was more than data. It was a story of human intelligence, ethics, and adaptability. She realized that solving her species' crisis would require more than technology or biology. Would require learning the human approach. Observe carefully, collaborate effectively, adapt quickly, and act ethically. As Lyra looked out over the forest, bathed in silver moonlight, she felt hope. Humans were not just interesting. They were a model of resilience, intelligence, and compassion. Their methods could save her people in ways her species' rigid systems never could. Lyra's mission had evolved. She had started as a curious alien observer, seeking answers about reproduction. Now she was a student of humanity, learning strategies, philosophies, and approaches that could change the fate of her civilization. Tomorrow, she would begin preparing to apply these lessons practically. She would develop new methods for her species, inspired by humans, that combined science, ethics, and ingenuity. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, Lyra felt that real solutions were possible. And in the quiet of the twin moons rising above the forest, she understood something fundamental. Humans were extraordinary not because of power or technology, but because of mind, heart, and spirit combined. Her people might yet survive, and the lessons of humanity would guide them toward a future filled with hope. The first light of the twin suns touched the forest canopy as Lyra prepared for the most important day of her mission. She had learned much from the humans, their intelligence, creativity, cooperation, and ethical decision-making. Now it was time to apply these lessons in a practical plan that could help her own species. The path ahead was daunting, but for the first time Lyra felt confident that success was possible. Ethan greeted her at the clearing. "Good morning, Lyra. Today is different. You'll be guiding a simulation of your species' crisis using what you've learned from humans. Are you ready?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I will apply all I have learned: observation, analysis, ethical judgment, and collaboration. Humans have shown me what true adaptability and intelligence look like. I intend to use that knowledge wisely." They moved to a specially prepared area where holographic projections simulated Lyra's homeworld. It displayed the alien population, resources, and key areas of concern. Lyra had modified the simulation based on what she had learned from humans, how they solve problems creatively and ethically, how they communicate, and how they adapt quickly to unexpected challenges. Lyra began the simulation. The population decline has caused instability in several regions, she explained to Ethan. Resources are unevenly distributed, and there is risk of further collapse. My task is to propose solutions using human-inspired strategies. The simulation presented immediate challenges. A sudden shortage of energy resources in one sector threatened the food supply, while another sector experienced a disease affecting a critical portion of the population. Lyra analyzed the data, recalling the methods humans had used in the forest. She divided the simulated population into teams, assigning each a task based on their strengths and skills. Team 1 will focus on energy redistribution, she explained. Team 2 will handle medical intervention. Team 3 will maintain communication, and